Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cow Daily, back again to haunt you like the Crystal Fash. Sorry, I just been away a while and I'd plugged my headphones into the wrong hole, which wouldn't be. Nah, I'm not even going to bother. It's not the 1970s and this isn't a carry-on film. Oh, Sid. Anyway, I would have opened the show if I hadn't have forgot the headphones thing with Sue, Sue, hey. That'll mean nothing to you, but that was a thing that actually happened in my life. Today we're talking about the Crystal Fash and the scene, which we haven't spoke about for a while, but we can't let this one pass because there's some banger, and I mean banger, Crystal Fash festival flyers and posters to show you, and a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the people on the lineup. Kenny Ken isn't there, unsurprisingly. Kenny Ken. Honestly, I love things like this. I'm really happy to see he's back as well. See he's popping up in the comments, and I've missed his. But just on taking a break, I absolutely needed that, as you could probably tell. As well, you can't say you were going to go postal these days, can you? Because like people take you seriously. But I wasn't a happy lad. I wasn't happy with a few people, to be honest. But we're back. I've had a kip. Finally, I've had a few. So I'm in good nick. And I decided I was going to start this again yesterday, but then I was like, oh, it's in bulk. I don't even know how to pronounce it. In bulk. In bulk. I've had me Celtic heritage robbed from us, so apologies to the Irish gang who've been keeping it strong on the charts. Actually, well, nothing's been put out. Thanks for all the support. We're still in the charts there. Love Ireland, me. Have ever told you? So just big up everybody and good to see you. If you'd like to support our work, go to the P to the A to the T, RUN.com/Cow Daily. That's patreon.com/Cow Daily to support good faith independent media. That's us. Also, PayPal link in description if you want to make a one-off contribution to the walk. If you're just joining with the walk today, is Crystal Fash and the scene. Because as somebody who promoted his first rave in, bloody hell, when would it have been? 1995, I think. Definitely 96, possibly 95 back then. So I've done a few. Did some before lockdowns and all that. And one of the points of doing this, right, is to describe what the rave scene was founded in and look at some of the people who were literally there and what they're doing now, because I think it's a madness. And also, just from a personal perspective, it's really nice to see all of the work we've been doing, or some of it at least, over the last couple of years, detailing the drift from left to the far right. And it is, as we'll demonstrate, within the so-called scene. And I'm sure they'd be very surprised to know, some of them at least, but definitely not all, as we'll discover. Let's see who's in the comments before we crack on. Crack on. Who's a boot? Who's a boot? Plenty. Linda Harvey, nice to see you. Jono in the house. Duncan Paler. Christopher Shee. Where are you? He's back. Like Backstreet Gang Gang. Nice. Leon Smith. Cow Icon. The Customary. Nice to see you, Orchid. MTB Matty. How man? Nice to see you. Vegan crew in the house. Zoe. All the cow crew, morning all. James Basford, yes, right back at you. Joanne, you seem bouncier. That's what sleep and an actual break when you've done like 100 odd days of genocide reporting amongst all the other stuff. I just honestly, just on the break stuff, I've had to give it some really good thought about how I can be most useful. Doing this, right? There's never a break. It's never ending. So I'm going to have to take one. And what I used to do in the past was I would take all of January. Now, I don't think I'll be doing that. What I think I'll be doing is I'll be taking a regular break, an extended one in January, and also in August too. Simply because of the way climate change is going, it's just becoming an absolute nightmare to even function. So I think that's how it'll go. But there'll still be stuff coming out. I'll just not be like as about. And I like, from a personal perspective, I just need it, man. I need to cleanse my brain. So you're right, I do feel bouncier, but it's because I cleansed my brain. Right, who's about? Let's see if anybody. Jez Hunt, the king of Imbolc. Morning. Morning. As you can see, as well as we're going in on some like fake hippies later on, Jez is one of the people I love most in the world. Like you can probably tell that whenever he's on. There's a great love between us, and he is a proper hippie in the very, very best of all senses. And we know loads of people like him. So it's not about all hippies, but it's about fake people. That's what this is about today. People who give it the whole "we'll live as one family" thing, like under the rave banner, and it couldn't be anything but. Jojo's in the house. Nice to see you, pal. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Jacqueline Dowden, nice to see you, pal. Good early morning from still dark Grenada. We're honoured that you're here, pal. Andy Taylor, nice to see you all, kid. Sorry with your bad news lately, but you will prevail. We know this. Keep going, man. So that's what we've got. Right, let's get into it because we've got a load of stuff. Now I've just done a proper YouTube thing. Let's get into it, guys. Let's go. Just to set the scene, we have this. If you love freedom, but you don't think it applies to everyone, what you actually love is privilege. And I know privilege is something that's been weaponized by far right social engineers. And I've got a lot of, well, not a lot, but some empathy for people who have been victimized by heavily funded propaganda campaigns, essentially by far right social engineers, because so called freedom in the minds of those people is to keep everything open and let the chips fall where they may. Whereas these people that we're going to talk about today, God love some of them, not the actual fash ones, but I see them as victims. You know, they wouldn't see themselves as that. I'm bloody sure, but I see them as victims, and that's where empathy starts. And this isn't intended to be patronizing, now like that. I'm talking about some people I know, but without fear or favor, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, this and what's occurring here. I mean, far right play graves, is it? All right, cool. Right, let's explore that. So anyway, something I want to set the scene with further. This is from a page I think everybody should follow called Crip Revolution. Disabled grief is real. Grief over the life body you could have had or lost is normal and valid, no matter how long it lasts, no matter what able people say about it. And again, follow Crip Revolution. Reason I put that up is, you know, I got some Facebook memories. You know, I get quite a few really kind of traumatic Facebook memories in January. My pal, he died a few years ago. That was January. Long COVID into shingles, lasted over a year. That was January the 1st, actually. Getting knocked off my bike by a car and landing into the earth on my face. And I've still got a bad shoulder. That was last year. Worst concussion of my life, and that was after having a Vespa crash as well. That was a terrible one. So we're here, and this is why I'm dodging January quite a bit. Proper cotton wool in myself. But the point being is, right, I've had a taste of what it's like to be excluded. I've had a taste of, and I still am in different ways, because of the stance that I'm taking on this. Don't think this hasn't affected my life and how people see me, and also how people want other people to see me. Because to take a stance like this, and you know this, because you are doing it too, it's not easy, and you become a lightning rod for other people's scapegoatery because of how uncomfortable they feel. You might notice I ask people to be specific when they're criticizing. I recognize their feelings, right? But I'm not a repository for them. So I'm asking them to be specific because I want them to tell me specifically what I've done that pisses them off. And I've never, ever had it once, because if somebody was to be specific about what's pissing them off in these regards, they would have to then go up against evidence, because that's all we're trying to represent here. That's all. And what we believe in, and what we've always believed in as Milk the Cow, is we live as one family. And as you know, Milk the Cow was founded as a rave in the 1990s. And I believe in that still, and I believed in it then. I understand a lot of it's clouded all in bloody drugs, firing serotonin into your brain. But for a lot of us, right, of that age, especially in the northeast of England and other places with the heavy macho culture, it melted a lot of that away. So, it had a real impact on the rave scene. But I think what I'm seeing here now is people who had and certainly some people who put themselves up as sort of like rave kings and that and rave queens, um, they missed out on that kind of supply that they get from like being around people and their place within that like sort of scene structure or whatever. And I can understand that. And this is certainly not directed at all people who just love going and having a night out and that's it and that celebrate that big up. What we're talking about is this like weaponized culture war raves. So let's go on. Here's one. Look at the flyer on this, right? I said on Facebook yesterday that 10 years ago, this lineup would have just been like monkey tennis, right? So this one's like more speakers. And what they've got is all your favorite speakers in one place. Dolores Cahill, we'll come on to her. Katie Hopkins, we all know who that is. Fash. Matt Letitia. And then it's like people like Sovereign Pete, allegedly Dave, neuropathic nutrition, like fine. But what we've been discussing for the last couple of years and received quite a bit of criticism for is the move for all of this sort of wellness stuff to be framed around the far right. And it's one of the ins that I've noticed is around like bushcraft and prepping and things. That's where a lot of the crossover started, I believe. One of the people on here who's the host and MC of the Weekend Truth Festival, WTF, is somebody called Katie Shem Arani. And somebody may have heard of her. On screen for audio people on the left, from Yahoo News, she thinks COVID vaccines come from the devil. Son of anti-vaxxer. We'll be coming on to our son in a minute. Son of anti-vaxxer nurse says he can't forgive her after death of school friend. From The Guardian, Met Police investigate anti-vaxxer speech. You get the point. On the right on the screen, this is a tweet from Katie Shemarani herself. Good morning, health and truth seekers. If you have faith, all will be well. The devil's power is undone, destroyed, loosened, and dissolved. Spike proteins, the Christ within will show us the way always. So this is the level it's at. And by all means, if you're religious in any way and you don't use it as a toxic weapon like this absolute hell beast, fair play to you. On one of the other spots here, and it might even be this one, calling all divine sparks. Katie Hopkins, the divine spark which lit the lake of fire. Absolutely madness, this, like, isn't it? It's but also class. Right, we'll have a look. So this is Katie Shemarami, and you might remember this. There's a lot to remember when we're all stuck in the house for a bit. People going on like we're in there for like years on end. We weren't. So hold on a minute, right? I've got this here. That's what we need. Here she is, Katie herself, Hell Beast incarnate. Let's hear her.
With a group of lawyers, we are collating all that. At the Nuremberg trials, the doctors and nurses stood trial and they hung. If you are a doctor or a nurse, now is the time to get off that bus. Get off it and stand with us, the people. All around the world, they are rising. Ask them what is in it. Ask them. Get their names. You email them to me, the medical revolutionaries at protonmail.com.
Right, I'm just going to stop that there because she's off her lips. She was calling for hanging of doctors. That was from 2021, like medical people. Also, these fucking arseholes always like us, the people. Like Katie Shemarani speaks for us. You don't speak for anybody but your fucking self, man. And your nat's gone off on a mad one when your own son. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we can all have like mad children and that. But look at this, man. I don't think it's the Sun who's the problem here, do you? Anyway, let's hear from the Sun. What's he saying? This was on LBC. She's gone too far to change her mind. Well, let's see what he's got to say.
I don't think that my mum is worth responding to directly because, as I said in the first time I started speaking about this with a colleague from the BBC, she's too far gone to change her mind. The only thing you can do is try and convince other people to step away from what she's advocating for. The problem with my mum's belief system is that unless people who are hearing her things for the first time are introduced to just how far those ideas go and what she believes in, like the maximum craziness of it, they can be lulled into this false sense of security where she's just criticizing vaccine passports or something like that. And this rally is a great example of it. She claims that she's doing a rally against vaccine passports, and she hijacks it and uses it to call for executions, it sounds like. So I'm used to this as far as her ideas get. They get very crazy. And I've always told people the best way to detox someone who's starting to say, hey, I'm listening to this person, is to say, okay, have you heard the full extent of what they say? Because they don't just talk about this. You know, I'm inundated over the course of the past 2 months since I told my mum I was getting the vaccine myself. She's been sending text messages to me and my brothers and sisters saying that my DNA is going to be changed, that the enzyme is by the devil, like created by the devil himself. This is as far as the ideas go.
Literally the devil.
That's as crazy as it gets. Yes, well, she claims that the enzyme's name is luciferase, which is A1 kind of writing skills, but not really based in biology. That's beside the point. The point is that I'm used to as far as it gets. But these people that have been following my mum for the past 1.5 years, 2 years now, they've been taken down this slope and it's been gradually spoon-fed to them. So that it makes sense they're getting more and more radical. And now we're seeing the apex of how crazy it gets. And there's only...
Right, well, let's just cut in there. Fair play to this lad, man. It mustn't be easy. Excuse me. It mustn't be easy for somebody to talk like that about their mother, you know? Must be very hard for the lad, especially when she's absolute hell beast. Can you imagine that being your mum? Honestly, I watched that video and I was like, I'm blessed to have my mum. I hope my mum listens to this because I'm always bigging her and my dad up. Like, it's going to be nice to see them actually. They're coming to see us for my birthday. That'll be nice, won't it? Grotbergs. What's in the comments? Who? Jez Hunt. That does not look like a fun weekend. No. I bet you won't be rocking up with Ancestor Leather Crafts to sell your wares. John Nash. How nice to see you, John. Hi, Mike, and all run late. Well, I hope you get there, my friend. Hope you get there. Right. What else? Matty just wants to know he's cleansed his bile bag and then he's been in the shower. Nice one. I hope you used leaves and other sustainable vegan product. Goodbye. Right. What else we got? Yeah. I wanted to show these things, right? And I want to remind us, right? This is from at Misa on Wheels, a disability activist who does great stuff. On the screen for audio, people were saying like adaptions. And the caption is, when things are built with everyone in mind, then everyone wins. So it's adaptions of like public spaces. We seem to have like, as the bounce from lockdowns in this ongoing pandemic, forgotten, let's be kind about disabled people. And again, in the rave scene, we'll live as one family, won't we? So we'll have to be inclusive. You would think, but maybe it was just always about the drugs for a lot of people. I don't know. And they've framed freedom up as being like, I mean, look, ask somebody who has this mentality, right? What's your plan for the millions of people who have clinical vulnerabilities? Just abuse, or it just goes over their head, or they just haven't got an answer. People's like, and that's just unacceptable to me, right? Unacceptable. We're going to put a rave on. We're working on clean air raves and making them as safe as possible. Why? So they're accessible to everybody. So we truly can be one family. Because that's how it is, isn't it? The world changed, we'll have to adapt. It's literally the only reason that one hasn't been put on. So we'll take as long as that takes, and we'll work with venues and spaces who are willing to work with us. And it's part of this whole clean air stuff. Shouts to patrons, by the way. We're not talking about this publicly, but big up yourselves. The success is ours. It's not just me, it's all of us. Without you, there's no me doing this. Fact. And thank you for your contributions and feedback about where to go next in the Patrons Forum. If you want to be part of that ongoing conversation, patreon.com/cowdaily. Great community there. Also next week, we've got our first online drop-in. So what that means is it's going to be like kind of like a Zoom call. Going to hang out and totally private. It won't be like broadcast or anything like that. And do that every month. Just check in, see how everybody is, and then just work out what we want it to be together as we go forward, because we're getting some great stuff happening. And I think that's a key part of the momentum we're building in the campaign inside of what we do. So, Freedom Music Fest. Something I'm going to introduce you is called Hope Sussex. Hope presents the original Freedom Music Fest. That would imply that there's been some kind of People's Front of Judea, and there's some other Freedom Fest. Danny Ramplin, right amongst it. Slipping in with Slipmat. LSD as well, DJ Fades, and then just a load of like mad stuff. But it basically, there's lineups developing at these raves where it's just like literally just people who are, as they would call themselves, pure bloods, and that's a term that they use for themselves, like people who didn't get the vaccine. It's interesting as well, because we're coming into that time of like multiple infections, and these people are, well, in line for being hardest hit, because, you know, scientifically, as we've seen, and evidentially, the vaccine reduces so many of the effects of COVID should you get it. But also there's some like analysis around people with long COVID getting the vaccine, and it actually helping them. And I can only speak for myself. Like, I got all of this before the vaccine was available. So anybody who's sitting there thinking, oh yeah, it was because of the vaccine, that's your long COVID, bollocks. Didn't happen. I didn't get it until 6 months later. So think again, do your own research. This is the belter though. Sounds Beautiful Fest 2024, also by Hope Sussex, and also The Light. Now, people who've been following the work for the last couple of years will know that we've spoke about The Light quite a bit. It's like some kind of mad paper that like seems to crop up in the barbers or something, and it's just absolutely riddled with it's just funded by the Fash, basically, on the quiet. We actually had the editor of it on back in the day, and he's literally the only guest that I've ever wanted like just punch through the airwaves. He's just a dickhead. He was like, you know, let him speak, give people he was on about flat earth, right? And I just, you know, whatever. Back then I was a bit more like, oh, fine, let's hear from people. And he was just an absolute cock. Spoke for ages, tried to cut in, and he's all like, oh, I see what this is, it's a hit job and all that. And honestly, you couldn't have been like a more open-minded bunch of people. Just an absolute tool bag of the highest order, and I can tell you that. But Slipmat is on this again. He's on Sounds Beautiful first, and then there's just like a load of others as well. And Katie Hopkins once again. Imagine back in the day, right, where you'd be like, Slipmat there, the lad who wrote SMD4, this uplifting stuff, is going to be on the same lineup as Katie Hopkins, Fash, and Dolores Cahill, also Fash. It's an interesting state of affairs, wouldn't you say? So anyway, I keep referencing We Live as One Family, and it was this old rave tune, Some Justice, Urban Shakedown, featuring Mickey Finn. I think it even charted. I have it on vinyl, like many other things. The sample, We Live as One Family, is within that. And that sample is from Someday by CC Rogers. Now, a lot of this is like, it illustrates how people felt about the scene and how it brought people together. So here's some of the lyrics. Someday we'll live as one family in perfect harmony. I'm not going to sing it. I could though. Nah, I'm not going to. Well, when we all pull together, we'll all be free someday. Sounds great. Accent on the all there, isn't it? So immediately, and like, this isn't just about the playgraves, right? Society's ableist. The work that we're doing together is to try and like not buy into that and actually try and create things and adapt anew, because these mugs always talk about survival of the fittest, but they miss out one key point: adaptation. The species that survive adapt. So, or at least the parts of the species adapt, survival of the fittest, all that. People are just like, yeah, survival of the fittest, going and like literally smoking off COVID and just being ultimately not fit, because wave after wave of repeat infections, especially close together, we know is really bad for the immune system. On it's airborne as well. Anyway, carrying on. Verse 2, free from the pressure and prejudice, we can change it all with tenderness. There'll be no void between black and white. Well, we'll see in a minute what the actual Fash links to this. So straight away, if Slipmat is trying to play this at this rave, wants to have a quick word with himself, you'll be able to walk the streets at night. I won't be full well someone dies of starvation. The whole world will be my nation. We will walk hand in hand. I'll go to South Africa and be called a man. It was released in the 80s before the end of apartheid. Anyway, deeper dive into the Fash element. This from Vice News in 2022. COVID truthers are having their own red pill Glasgow. Danny Ramplin, Right Said Fred, are involved in the 3-day music festival that only features artists affiliated with the COVID conspiracy scene. Hope Sussex, there they are again, responsible for 2 of these festivals, maybe even the other one as well, I don't know. Hope Sussex, whose founders include a couple previously active in the far-right British National Party, excuse me, has become a major cause celebre for radical COVID conspiracists, many of whom have apparently come to hold broader aspirations for the site as a kind of separatist utopia for the freedom movement, in inverted commas. Freedom for whom? Freedom for whom? That's whom. Anyway, Vice continues. Meanwhile, the project and others like it have aroused, this Hope Sussex, by the way, aroused concerns that they are facilitating the indoctrination of children into militant conspiracist ideology within a movement that shows signs of deepening radicalization. Felt like I want to say Park Life on the end of that. It's one of them, innit? Anyway, Hope Sussex is a centre in Sussex, of course, ran by these 2 ex-BNP members. One of them dyed her hair red. Maybe that was deliberate to make it look like the type of people who would go to festivals. I don't know what their game is. We've got no evidence that this is deliberate, but let's find out as we go on. So Hope Sussex did not respond to Vice World News request for comment, but one of the project's key players outlined the militant conspiracist worldview behind Hope Sussex during an appearance on the COVID Truther podcast, We Think Freely, last month. This was obviously a couple of years ago. What it says is, all it takes is for people to turn around and say, we do not comply, said Matt Single, remember the name, who tutors at Hope Sussex and whose children attend classes there. It says who attend classes there. Is that grammatically correct? I don't know. Carrying on, we're not jumping through any of your hoops, says Matt. We are not going to take your fear. We are not complying with any of your madness. This is our land, and we're going to teach how we want to teach. This is our land. Blood and soil, eh? And if you don't like it, you can take a running jump. We don't care, says Matt. He said the educational ethos behind the project was based upon critical thinking. There, is it really, Matt? Aye. Anyway, Single and his wife, Sadie Single, who was also a tutor at Hope Sussex, were previously members of the BNP, with the latter a councillor for the far-right party on Broxtowe Borough Council. What I'd like to point out is that they deny and say they disavow previous far-right links and whatever. Do you? Do you know? All right, sound. Locally, this goes off as well, boys? Anyway, carrying on. Comments. Let's see. Who's a boot? Jez Hunson. Did you see the radicalized geezer in America who chopped his dad off and stuck it on YouTube? I chopped his head off and live streamed it and pulled his decapitated head. Imagine if I pull up Slipmat's head and just go slipping in with Slipmat, and then just do like a crash cut to the screen. That wouldn't happen. Big up Slipmat and that. But anyway, who else is around? Who's a boot? Matty, drugs them in occasionally. In some of them, I've had the best nights of my life. I'm literally craving a rave. But them ones where it's all like breathing the plague in, I'm good. Gotta pass on them. HEPA filtered the fuck though when we'll bring it back though. Yes, now. Jenny Schramm. Nice to see you, my friend. Good morning. Carlos in the house. Haiti still due to appear in the Northeast Labour Club. Apparently, there's a lad messaged us the other day, told us about it. Strange times there. Joanne, once a Fash, always a Fash. Listen, if people are willing to put themselves on bills with and flyers with like literal Fash, well, exposure, isn't it? Yeah, man. There's like somebody who gets on some of our social media, and he's a DJ at one of these like fucking, the ones down in Leeds, man. He's playing like Hard House or something, and he's just like thinking himself some kind of mad like Andrew Tate clone. Honestly, man, it's like you could probably chart, right, if you went on Andrew Tate's latest proclamation on whatever batshit hell site he's on, and then how it disseminates through mugs like this over the next sort of 24 to 48 hours, coming out with the same old shit. I mean, there was one with Joe Rogan as well. Like people from around the way, man, they're starting to call like Canada a communist dictatorship because Joe Rogan, who's absolutely lost it, is saying these things. And you can chart it even more because that is the biggest podcast in the world. How people from Bolton, Gateshead, up and down the UK, no real links to like any of that stuff or any kind of like previous awareness, calling like Trudeau a communist dictator, and there's some mad conspiracy theory which I cannot be asked to get into. I just want to point something out, right? In the land of reality, Canada was one of the only countries in the world who did not back the ICJ's ruling in support of South Africa's genocide case against Israel, which is obviously the hallmark of a communist dictatorship, Joe Rogan, and whoever the hell is speaking the words that he speaks without doing any research of your own. Anyway, just want to end on this. I don't blame people for not knowing. Public health, governments, and media have failed the populace. I do, however, blame those who refuse to listen and become belligerent when provided with data on what is happening. It's hard not to judge those with their head in the sand. It is, but we're never going to heal these things, right, unless there's a door open. We're never going to be able to look to have one family unless there's a door open. And I just want to say, when we bring back the raves and the clean air ones, everybody is welcome, as long as you have love in your heart for the people around you and respecting people's boundary. We'll be working with the people going forward in the patrons forum about like what that looks like for them to feel safe. Because for me, that's the gold standard. There's no map for this territory. We're building it ourselves, and the success that we've had if you're in the patrons forum. And I apologize for it being there, but it needs to be, because ideas can die on the vine if you share them too soon with the wrong people. And I'm certainly not sharing that with the wrong people, what we're doing. So don't think this is just some gobshitery. We're on this and we're winning. And I've got all love for the people who've held me up while I've had me break and just helped us heal. So anyway, patreon.com/Cow Daily. Come and join me on the forum, join the chat, download the app, and make sure that you have your browser like up to date, whatever that browser is. Like Jim from Australia, he got on it and said he couldn't actually participate in it, but we had a look and it was like, if you update your browser, you can do it via browser. But the app's really good, much better than Discord, because it's just so easy to use. And I'll be honest with you, I just like haven't got time and cannot be asked to be learning all this new stuff. So great to see you. Nice to be back. You're quite right. I am feeling a lot better. And going forward, I'll take more responsibility for it. So there'll be a regular break in January, a regular break in August, and that should do us, to be honest. I mean, imagine doing your job and having no holiday. It's not a good idea, especially when I'm still getting better from all these mad stuff that we've been talking about. Anyway, we will live as one family, truly, and be open to all. And we're not asking like Katie Shemirani and all them, all right, we'll believe all this nonsense, but we need you to apologize as well. We know now, and we've always known, right, within the scene, people hide behind it because there's just a lot of young people on drugs. And we've all seen, and I've grasped an artist in their 50s for rocking around with young people. Fuck your life. Anyway, we'll move forwards as one family. Nah. Oh, yeah. SMD4 is now dead, though, fam. Bye. Honestly, man. Can you imagine the monkey tennis of it all 10 years ago? Aye, Slipmat with Katie Hopkins.